and welcome to the Fertility Conversations podcast. The goal of this podcast is to create more awareness about infertility and to provide support to people trying to conceive. Thank you for listening today, and we hope you will be encouraged. And now, here is your host, Ola.
Welcome to another episode of the Fertility Conversations. Today we're joined by two lovely guests, so not one, two, Dr. Sklar and Dian, and they'll be joining us today speaking about Your Eggs, which is an agency in California. They join us to enlighten us all about Your Eggs and all the services they provide to support individuals and couples trying to conceive. So welcome, Dr. Sklar and Dian. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yay. So usually start off by saying, tell us a little bit about yourself, as much or as little as you'd like to share.
Sure. Well, I'll get started. I've been in the fertility space for about 20 years and recently joined Your Eggs as an ambassador to really help support and educate the fertility community about donor eggs and really the beautiful aspects of it, and really trying to enhance and educate all the couples around who are on the fertility journey about another option when it comes to donor eggs and what's available to them. So that's a little bit about me. Dian?
Yeah, no, thank you. So I've also been in the fertility world for about 20 years, and I'm the director of patient relations here at Your Eggs. So I have a really fun job, and my favorite part is seeing parents bring home their baby. And I'm excited to be here to be able to share another opportunity for parents and people on their journey to continuing to build their families.
Thank you so much for your introductions. And I think between both of you, 20 years each, that's a whole lot of time.
It is.
Date ourselves, but
I think we're covered. Yeah. So speaking about Your Eggs, please share what we need to know. What is Your Eggs and what do you offer people trying to conceive or people seeking donor eggs?
Yeah, so Your Eggs is an international global egg donor agency, and we are located here in Southern California. And we do have one of the largest egg donor banks in the world with, over 80,000 applicants. And right now we have over 1,500 qualified donors. Really, our mission is to connect parents to find their perfect match to help make their dream families come true. We're really about our people. We have a team of really experienced and dedicated specialists in egg donation, and they collaborate really closely with the intended parents, the egg donors, and leading fertility centers throughout the world in order to optimize the process. Many of our specialists have experience themselves, either being egg donors or going through the process. So yeah, we definitely, take pride in working with people from all over the world and all different backgrounds.
Okay, that's amazing, because that was going to be my next question. Because when you have, like you said, you have such a huge database and a whole lot of qualified donors currently, I was going to ask, can anybody across the globe access your donors?
Well, yes, theoretically, anyone across the globe can. Obviously, there are, different, what's the right term here?
Regulations.
Different regulations.
Different regulations. Thank you. Different regulations in various countries that everything, that needs to be considered and taken into account when someone is going down that path. There are certainly, some countries that don't allow it, but we, assuming that everything on that end is taken into consideration, then yes, we welcome intended parents from anywhere in the world and access to the service. We have access to our services regardless of, the country of their residence. In terms of a donor pool, though, we work with donors from various countries because we want to have diversity that allows for a bigger pool for intended parents to choose from that, hopefully they can connect with a little bit better, right? That meets their needs and their requirements a little bit more so than just having a very narrow-minded pool of individuals. So there are some complexities with international egg donation that obviously that we need to take into account. But for the most part, yes, we are a global agency.
Oh, that's amazing. So then so your potential egg donors could come from overseas to donate in the States then?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, we do. And then we have intended parents, as Mark was saying, from many different places in the world. We have many parents from China, from Germany, from Great Britain. And like Mark said, we definitely have donors from different parts of the world, as well as, people from all over the United States as well.
Right.
And, it's really up to the intended parents. Sometimes, the travel cost makes it a little higher for some of the donors coming from other countries. So that's sometimes a factor. And there are, a lot of, definitely though, with our over 1,500, we have people from different countries, different ethnicities, and to be able to help people find the right match for them.
Yeah. And that's great. Yeah.
Our biggest pool is still in the US though. I just want to
right. But that's still great, having a diverse pool, because I think that's always something of concern, because there's a lot of different cultural aspects and perhaps different ethnicities or cultures where there might be a reduced number of potential donors. And so I think for people looking into egg donation, it's always good to know that you have a database of diverse ethnicities as well for them to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are constantly recruiting and have new donors that are signing up every week, and we are always trying to welcome people from. Yeah, exactly. Because like you said, definitely we want to make sure that people have a lot of different options.
Right. And do people get pictures of the donors? So for potential intended parents or potential people receiving the egg donation, do they see pictures?
Yes, absolutely. We understand that people like to have pictures from the time they're babies throughout their childhood, all the way to present day adulthood, because it is physical characteristics are definitely an important factor for many of the intended parents when they're choosing their donor. In addition to pictures, we also have understand that many donors would like to have a little more. Many intended parents would like to have a little more of a peek into the donor's personality. So we often videotape the donors as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is fun because it gives people more of a feel than what static images can provide. We get a little glimpse into their personalities, and we ask them questions like, what motivated them to donate their eggs, what they want to say to the future baby of the intended parents that selected their eggs. And many of the intended parents say that was one of their deciding factors when they moved forward with choosing their donor was having those glimpses into the donor's personality.
Yeah, because I think it really helps to feel like you know a bit about the person apart from just the picture, right? Because you're really just using someone that you really don't know anything about. So having them a little video can make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Because our goal is really to provide as much information as possible, to support the intended parents and help them make the best decision for them. So definitely a lot of visual material, in addition to, some of the other things I'm sure we'll go over in the podcast, are also included for parents.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love the video aspect of it because you can gather so much more about that individual, that donor, than you could in just the static picture of them, or even how they answered the questions, because now you get to hear them and kind of get a sense of their personality. So it's definitely something that's more engaging.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a real great addition that you have there. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. The intended parents really do love it.
Yeah, and in terms of actually, I know that when I checked with your agency, you also have an app attached to the egg donation process, both for people that are looking to donate So the egg donors themselves and also intended parents. So how does that work using the app connected to your database or the whole portal?
Yeah, the app for us is one of our favorite things. And it's always being updated and improved as time goes on, and we see how everyone's using it and we get more feedback. But it's really user friendly, and it's used both for intended parents and donors. But on the intended parent side, they can easily browse through an extensive database, as Dion was mentioning, over 1,500 donors, and then they could also engage the filters that are in as they're browsing to kind of narrow it down a little bit more. So if they're looking for specific physical attributes or medical history or educational background, if they want to know more about the profiles for the donors are pretty comprehensive. So if they want more information, then they can even dig deeper beyond that and start looking at the photographs and the personal statements and the background and family history. This is all built into the app that allows the intended parents to really start to filter really nicely. And one of my favorite features that I really like about it is the swipe feature that allows you to engage, like if you liked somebody or not, kind of like a dating app.
Like a dating app. Yeah. Pretty cool. But it is like dating.
It is like dating.
It's a bigger commitment than dating, right?
Actually, yes, you're right. It is a bigger commitment than dating, but exactly like dating app, because you want to understand and you want it to be easy and you want the app to figure that out. So it's that swiping one way or the other to determine if you like them or not. So yeah, in that regard, for the intended parents, it's really nice. And then there's also that additional side for the donor. They can also utilize the app as well to apply and become part of the program. And then they can easily, prospective donors can easily create a profile within the app for themselves.
Right.
And excuse me, and it includes like a secure and confidential application process. And then once they've submitted their application and then we start to review things on our end and do all the back end stuff to make sure they're approved and good candidates, then it does update them and give them notifications on their side to let them know how things are going. Right. And then also, obviously, if they have questions or require more assistance, then we do ask them to reach out, and they could also do that through the app as well. But it's really nice because the app allows for both the donor and the intended parents to be able to utilize it on their ends, regardless of how they're interfacing with it.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a really huge. It makes a huge difference, the whole process. And just makes you feel like you're in control, I think.
Yeah. And we're all using apps now for everything.
Yeah.
Right? Why not have this one be part of it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Everyone's on the go. So it's much easier to have your phone with you and have it at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then you can return to the ones you've selected that you like later on. I think it really is a great feature.
Exactly. Yeah. It stores all that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so for prospective donors that you want to choose, because I think that's another important question that people wonder, intended parents, like how vigorous is your selection process? What type of testing is done on the potential donors? Is there any are the medicals checked out, or are there things like that?
Yeah, no, that's a really important question. Definitely we have a very rigorous donor selection, to ensure everyone's health and the best possible successful outcome for everyone involved. And it starts a little bit, as Mark talked a little bit about, there's going to be that initial application, and, that'll include a detailed medical history, educational background, family history, in addition to the personal information and lifestyle factors, things like not being a smoker, BMI. So, a lot of things like that to start, and, and then screening, of course, based on age, as well as other, there are other disqualifying factors. And then, once they go through all of that, as I said, we've had over 80,000 applicants. Once they go through all that, it goes into in-depth interviews with our team of specialists. Yeah, which is, very important. It's important to understand the donor's motivations involved, and that they also understand the commitment, because it is a big commitment on their part.
It is.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that they really are wanting to do it to help people in addition. So, and then of course the medical evaluations, like you said, performed by doctors and medical professionals, those are very important. Physical examinations, genetic testing and screenings, and reproductive testing as well, and making sure that, the best possible eggs for intended parents. And there is also, I think actually I won't get into that's one of your later questions, but there is additional parts. So
well,
yeah,
you can get into it if it links to what you're saying. Yeah. Sure. Yes. You
okay.
Can get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So also, psychological testing. So
right.
I know that, looking at the mental and emotional readiness for the egg donation process, but, there is more to that as well, the psychological part, to make sure that they also have support throughout the process and understanding everything involved, and that, they're ready to do it and keep the stress levels low for everyone involved.
Yeah. Because it's like you said, it's very, it takes a lot of commitment, right? It's a lot on the person's mind and body. They have to be ready and know fully what they're getting into as well.
Absolutely. And that's why it's nice that many of our specialists have gone through egg donation themselves, so they can make sure that the donors understand, any potential risk involved with the retrieval in the process, and, any potential, physical or emotional impacts it may have as they're going through it. Exactly. So the psychological assessments and screenings also is a big part of the selection process. And, by doing all of this, of course, it's very time consuming and intensive, but, we're making sure that we have the best possible egg donors for the parents and the health of the egg donors throughout, and to have a, successful outcomes.
Yeah. And that really helps. It makes a difference for people to know that all that has been part of your process before you even select a donor. And of course, many times as well, intended parents want to make sure that the donor is also well taken care of. Of course, you want someone that has the right intention, but you also want them to ensure that they're well compensated for their time and the whole effort they put into the whole process.
The donor. Excuse me. This is not this is not just one side. We need to make sure that all the donors are taken care of for their on their mental and emotional side of things, their physical and healthcare side of things. So in every aspect of it, they need to be supported throughout, as well as the intended parents, right? To make sure that those donors are the right donors. They've been vetted properly and taken care of. But also that everyone's getting the appropriate support physically and emotionally to go through this process. Because choosing a donor, deciding that you want to be a donor or that you want to utilize a donor, it's not an easy process. It's really hard for intended parents to get to this place, because it's not where they initially thought that they would ever be. And certainly I don't think any donor ever wakes up as a teenager or child saying, yes, I want to donate my eggs to a family to have children. So, I think it's a long way for both sides to come. And so you really want to make sure, and we really want to make sure, that both sides are supported appropriately and that they feel like they're getting taken care of, and that the other side is also being taken care of, right? Because this is just, we often say it takes two to tango when we're talking about having children, and, male and female and two partners, coming together. But this is similar, right? You have two partners coming together to have a child, and we want to make sure that both sides are being taken care of appropriately, so that they could feel comfortable and that everyone feels comfortable moving forward to that next stage.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said. And so if an intended parent, I really love all you said, because I think it helps people to feel very comfortable and reassure that they're going with the right agency. But if an intended parent then signs up with your eggs and uses a donor and loves the donor and wants to try to ensure that they can potentially try for a sibling in the future, are they able to perhaps say that I want that donor to perhaps do another cycle for me in the future, or can they bank eggs, or can they say, well, I want that donor for myself only, quote unquote, potentially for the next cycle, just for them to know that they have that option to have a sibling for their child that they might have had with this current initial donation.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And we do have that come up. Definitely, as we kind of talked about, it's always completely voluntary. And we have, many donors who are willing to commit to a potential, second cycle. We have a lot of options. So many people will do a full fresh cycle. So, they'll typically end up with, hopefully quite a few healthy eggs, and they're able to have, their siblings from that cycle. But many people are also more comfortable, even before they start the first cycle, checking with the donor, would this potential donor be open to doing a second cycle if needed for siblings, right? And then we have male partners who sometimes want to split. So they want to have, even more opportunities so that the babies are biologically connected through their mom. So through the egg side. So definitely we have that happen, and that's all part of the contract and agreed upon before. But of course, it's always completely voluntary. And sometimes, we recently had somebody, she was in the military and she was deployed. And so, hopefully when she comes back, they'll be able to do the second cycle, right? But there are some life factors that are outside of people's control. But we definitely do have some people commit to that, and it often works out really well.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that just to have that option to know that that's possible. Because again, some people might do genetic testing, and so and I know you noted actually that you do genetic testing actually as part of the whole initial process. So then, because I think sometimes people want to do testing to ensure that they're not both carriers of the same genetic condition. So is that part of your process as well then?
Yeah, I mean, the genetic piece, part of the medical evaluation is to determine if there's, any underlying issues that might rule them out as a donor, right? Or that need to be flagged. But there's all sorts of different genetic testing that gets done after you've created the embryo as well. So it's going to happen at two different stages, depending on what the intended parents want to do, right? Because you theoretically don't have to do testing on the embryos later on if you don't want to, even though many clinics do recommend it. But there's two different stages of genetic testing that are done when they're going through that process. But that first stage on the donor, that's absolutely something that we need to do. We need to rule out anything that might not allow them to be a good, safe, and healthy donor for any intended parent. So obviously that has to be taken care of. Yeah.
And sometimes, like Mark was saying, it's the genetic screening to make sure that, and I think Ola, you said that the partner doesn't carry the same, because usually, even if someone's carrying something, as long as the other person's not also carrying it. Because you have to make sure that they're a good match even before forming the embryos. But definitely it's done at multiple stages to ensure the health of the baby.
Yeah, because for example, I live in Nigeria, and one thing that's always of a concern is people being carriers of sickle cell. And so people want to ensure that the other person's not a carrier, because if they're both carriers, then they potentially increase the chances of having a child with, Okay. So it's good to know that option is there to have that testing done initially, or to rule it out for a potential donor.
Yeah, definitely an important part. First the genetic screening, and then later more testing. So yes, important part of the process.
Great. And another thing that I think people get concerned about is how many times is this donor going to donate? Because they also want to know that the potential number of families that could have a child from that egg donor. So do you have a restriction on the limit? Or is there a limit on number of times that a donor can donate?
Yeah. So like So the ASRM, the American Society of Reproductive Medicine, it sets the limits for egg donors to donating no more than 6 cycles for a woman's lifetime. And again, that could go, that could go to the same family. We rarely see donors donating more than 2 to 3 times though. But the limit by ASRM is 6 cycles total. That could be going to the same family or to a different family. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. But we rarely see people donating more than 2 or 3 times.
No, because it's not easy on the body. It's a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, no, and it's usually like there's that stage in life, where people are at a point where they want to do it, and and after maybe 1 or 2 cycles, they're no longer in that stage of their life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but definitely valid concerns for a couple different reasons, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. I think you've answered a lot of questions that part of areas of concern. Just to ask as well, because I know, again, it's international, lots of things are happening now. People are traveling for treatments, but also people are shipping eggs or sperm or embryos across the globe. So I wonder if someone is in another country. So of course, I know other countries can have restrictions, like the UK might have that option of known identity or open identity for the child when the child is 18. But if that's not the case, if someone is in a country where anonymous donation is okay or known donation, can they have eggs shipped from your eggs in California to another country?
Yes. I mean, we definitely ship frozen eggs as well as frozen embryos. I mean, people have a lot of different options available. They can use, fresh or frozen eggs, and, they can split the cycles, either the frozen ones they can purchase from our egg bank that already has frozen cycles from, donors that match their desired characteristics, and have them shipped to their fertility center. Yep. Okay. In their country. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's good. So that people have the option of frozen or fresh, like frozen.
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
There's actually 3. Yeah, go ahead, Dion.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's actually like 3 different ways to think about it when you're thinking about choosing how you want to approach it. And there's a full fresh cycle where you get the fresh donor eggs and theoretically a fresh embryo transfer. It could also be frozen either way, but you're getting those fresh eggs, and all of those eggs that are retrieved during that cycle that are mature and ready to go are exclusive to to those intended parents that have reserved that donor. But then there's another way where you could actually split a cycle, either fresh or frozen. And so let's just say an intended parent wants to manage cost and wants to just also make sure that they're only getting X amount of eggs. Let's just say they only need 6 or 9 or whatever that number is. Right. Then they could say that the first 6 or 9 are going to be ours. And then if there's another intended parent who wants to split that cycle and take the remainder, then they can share that. Right. And that could be done either fresh or frozen, like Dion was mentioning. And then frozen, you could also already have, the agency already has frozen eggs and could utilize those. So sometimes the time frame for that is much shorter because you already have those frozen. And let's just say a donor produced 20 eggs, but an intended parent only needs 10 of them. Then you've got the other 10 that somebody else can use.
Okay, that's perfect. So they're quite flexible, different options available depending on the person's situation.
Definitely. They can even have their embryo created here at your eggs. They can, the frozen sperm can be flown in, and then, the frozen eggs either, from the bank, and then have their embryo, transferred to their fertility center in their country for their transfer. So definitely a lot of different options available.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Which is good, right? Because everyone has different. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we've got to be flexible to meet the parents where they are and help them get to their final result and desire as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
yes, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, right. Because everyone is in different paths and different situations and experiences. So it's good to know that you have all this flexibility. And I think for anyone listening like myself right now, I've been loving everything you've said. I mean, it's really been impressive, really, for you to have an app, to have that video option for the donors, to be very flexible in the options that are available. So I know lots of people are going to want to reach out to you to see how to proceed or to ask more questions or have consultations. So if anyone is listening right now and wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect and request a consultation?
The easiest way to do that is just to go to our website at youreggs.com. Right. That's the simplest. And then from there, they'll also be prompted to download the app, but you can also go, whether Android or Apple, you can just go to the App Store as well, and get started that way and just search for Your Eggs, all one word, and find the app and download it and get started.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's been amazing having you on here. It's actually, I feel like, we can keep talking forever because I feel like there must be something I've missed, right? Because it's been so great learning because, because I've looked into egg donation. I mean, we looked into too many options. And I think just having so many options is really good. It feels like you help the intended parent to see that perhaps it's not so bad after all, right? Like, I mean, because not because egg donation is bad, right? But I just think, like you said earlier, Dr. Sklar, right? People don't necessarily think that as perhaps their initial option. They might have decided that it might be something else, and now they have to consider this option. But the way you empower and put a lot of resources for the intended parents, it makes it easier, I think. And it makes you feel like you're really in control. It makes you feel like you have options. So I think that's really amazing that you're doing that.
Yeah.
It's not an easy process. And like I said earlier, no one starts the fertility journey and turning to their partner saying, we want to have children, saying we're going to start a donor. Right.
Exactly.
So I think this place where they're at, when they finally made that decision, or they're thinking about it even, and maybe they haven't made that decision, they're contemplating it, is, this is a crucial time for them. And they need to be able to feel comfortable with the process, be able to trust the agency, to know that they're taking care of their part and taking care of the donor side of things and looking out for the intended parents, and that everyone's working together to move forward. So even though you never start your fertility journey and having a family with this, thought in mind, it's really important that this option is available, because it really helps so many couples get to that final destination that they've been waiting for. And we want to make that process as simple and streamlined as possible for them.
Yeah. Encourage them to look at the new possibilities, and to get excited about it, and be really open-minded. So.
And adding the videos, right? And the app and stuff. It just changes the whole game. Like, it just, I don't know, it makes it amazing.
Exactly. And think about, hobbies and, the new possibilities, because as both of you were talking about, I mean, it is, many people have gone through many challenges, maybe had failed IVF cycles and other very, very big disappointments. And, to get to the point of moving to donating eggs. We don't want it to be a solitary process. We don't want them to feel alone or discouraged. We really want to be here to help lift them up, help them, embrace this new part, and to get intended parents excited about it. And there's nothing better than seeing them with their new baby going home, or sending us pictures of their baby from from wherever they reside, whatever country they're in. And hearing their feedback that, their dreams have come true. So it's exciting to get to play a small part in that.
Yeah. And I think people knowing also that you take care of the donors as well is really, really important. Absolutely. And I think that makes a difference. Knowing that person is happy as well.
They become like family coming in here, and and it's really interesting to hear many of their motivations for doing it. Because many of them will know someone that's an aunt or somebody who maybe struggled with infertility, or they'll see something about it on TV, and then they think, oh, this is amazing. We had someone recently, she put herself through aviation school, which is very expensive as being a donor, and she said, having the opportunity to help somebody. And then she sent us a picture of her and her plane, and it was a combination of both. I mean, of course, the financial aspect is important, especially at certain points in our life when it's a big benefit to achieve our goals. But at the same time, having the opportunity to help someone else, help their family, building dreams come true. And it's really fun to get to know the donors. We have some really, just amazing donors here as well.
That's wonderful. And as a wrap up, Dion and Dr. Sklar, what would you like to share with anyone listening right now considering donor conception, egg donation?
Jan, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think really just what we were just talking about. Is,
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Reach out to us at Your Eggs. Start the conversation going and start thinking about new possibilities and embracing the journey and all the different options involved in it. And, and just that, we're all, thinking about you and here for you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
If I can just add one little thing, is that, it's a new experience, and we have to open our mind to going to this place as intended parents to look at donors. And I often hear that they're worried, like, will I connect with this child as if it was mine? Will I think of this child as if it was mine? I can tell everybody who's listening that every couple I've ever spoken to who've used a donor, as soon as they are holding that baby in their arms, they don't think of that child as anything other than theirs, that they are their parents. And so once you can get past that little hurdle that is really just in your mind more than anything, the donor process is there and open to you. And if we can be open-minded to it, then there's so much that Your Eggs can offer to support you through that process and make it easier.
Well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Sklar.
Thank you for having us.
And Dion, for speaking today. It really has been amazing listening to you. I love all the support and options that you provide at Your Eggs. I think that it really makes a huge difference in the whole process and helps people to feel more relaxed and feel like this is an exciting opportunity and a new option, a new path to parenthood. So thank you for all that you shared today. You've really enlightened us all. I know that I'm pretty amazed about all that you offer at Your Eggs, and I know that lots of the listeners are feeling the same way and will be reaching out to you. So thank you so much for all that you're doing and for making the time to be here with us today on the show to inspire and to encourage us and to let us know that there are options and that there's a light at the end of it all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. It was our pleasure to be here with you and with everything that you're doing to help everyone.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to having you again in the near future. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Fertility Conversations podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Fertility Conversations. If there are any topics you would like to have discussed, please send an email to fertilityconversations@gmail.com. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. Thank you again for listening. Take care of yourself and do stay hopeful.